and thereafter call upon the mover of the motion to reply. Before I call the governor, which I believe, I don't know whether it will be the Katwa will probably make the final submissions. Honorable members, this is a debate that we are discussing to remove the governor by impeachment, and Honorable Fancy, of course, did violate our standing order number 115 on that is 115, not 114, it's 115. 115F deliberately gives false information to the Assembly. But using standing order number 1 in the spirit of fairness, I will direct that the Sergeant at Arm to ensure that Fancy is back, so that when the time comes for voting, she is not victimized. She exercises his right to vote. Secondly, that matter will now be handled by the Powers and Privileges Committee. So, Clerk, please note that, so that to be in order. So, honorable members, I therefore call upon the governor, that is through Katwa, to make final submissions. As the Sergeant at Arm ensure that Honorable Fancy is back to the House.
Mr. Speaker, sir, Honorable MCAs, we maintained our position that responsibility for any wrongdoing that was done should be first be visited on the people who are involved if there is any wrongdoing, before resort to the His Excellency the Governor. The second one I wish to say is in respect to a number of members of the County Assembly have gone back multiple times to the issue of the retired CECs and CEOs, and especially on the issue of CECs. If it were to be the case, as is being argued here in support of the impeachment, if it were to be the case that there was any impropriety in changing the CECs, I would pray that the Assembly also takes their share, because the replacement of each of those CECs came here. And so if you have any grievance about the replacement of those CECs, please share that responsibility with the governor and drop it from the gamut of the motion to retire the governor. There was the argument by Majority Leader that the report was unanimously voted for. We have looked at the report, and it is clear that the report was providing for the governor to act. And so I think nothing turns on the point that indeed the report was voted for unanimously. The unanimity was in giving the governor an opportunity to act. Many waheshimiwas have made reference to Kasim Mutahani and Londiani. It remains our position that having been canvassed in the previous impeachment of September 2024, it is not a proper subject for consideration in this impeachment. However, Mr. Speaker, sir, if it were to be the case that you really must entertain it as part of these proceedings, which we protest to, if it must be, we pray that you see our submissions on it. We have relied on the previous statements and documents that we had relied on in the previous defense we did. And again, we reiterate our objection to the reintroduction of the same. I am surprised that amongst the people who are supporting the reintroduction of Kasim Mutahani and Londiani is Honorable Matthew, who had found it to have no merit in the previous impeachment proceedings. Now, moving on to a different issue, On the same issue of Londiani, we just want to flag out two issues. One is that that report was taken to court and it was quashed, and so it is of no effect. And secondly, part of the recommendations in that report was that one, Dr. Wesley Bor should step aside, and my instructions are that indeed is out of office. On the issue of Kipkelian houses, is it Dr. Norman or Professor Norman and Chief Whip and Matthew went back to it and said that I said that indeed payment was made. Okay, what I said in my previous submissions is that works have been done on those houses and some other works were going on. I left it at that. The rider that has been, the words that have been put in my mouth saying that I said payment was made in advance were not my words, and so I want that clarification to be clear, that I didn't go into the issue of payment having been made in advance. But assuming for one moment it is true that indeed payment was made before the works were done, I would like to make two arguments on that. The first one is that the person who did that should take responsibility. It doesn't have to be the governor, because he didn't sign for it. It's not like he personally, it was brought to his attention, he looked at it and said pay him in advance. That's one. The second one is I have looked at the totality of the materials that have been brought in terms of the impeachment, especially with regard to the issues of the contractors, construction contractors. And it doesn't seem anywhere that the committee availed themselves the contracts for construction. I have particularly in mind, for instance, a contract as huge as the one for the hospital. And it is common knowledge that for construction contracts, there is provision for advance payment. And therefore, to the extent to which it has not been determined that advance payment due on constructions in terms of the payments in these projects, to the extent to which there is no address to that issue, we submit that even a payment was made, then there is need to check whether it was advance payment provided for in the contracts. And contrary to what some of the honorable members have said, that there is no case where payment is made in advance, the inverse is true, that in contracts there is advance payment, and so it doesn't necessarily follow that the mere fact that there is advance payment before the works are done, there is fault. There is need to look at the contract. However, again, I just want to put this right and this underline with emphasis that if it were to be the case that indeed there was irregular payment, then the persons involved individually should be asked to take responsibility. It doesn't necessarily have to be His Excellency the Governor. On the issue of the SACCOs, I just want to emphasize that my point is this, that the nature of the donor funding requirements are two in respect to this issue of the SACCO funding. The first one is they only qualify when they meet certain criteria, and that was the point I was emphasizing. They cannot become eligible and cannot become entitled either to the 1 million or to the supplies of the procurements until and unless they have qualified to be incorporated and onboarded into the donor funding. And that at that time there were only 19, and subsequently 11 have been onboarded. And therefore there cannot be a question, as Honorable Matthew has said, that please show us proof that 1 million was paid to each SACCO. That cannot be the case. It can only be released when the parties qualify and become eligible on the terms and the scope of what the donors have said. However, the documentation in respect to the dealings with the SACCOs, Honorable Matthew asked me to answer that directly, are provided in our bundle at page 36, where we've listed some of the issues that we have addressed, being that you only qualify to do the procurement, to get the 1 million, and to be supported when you meet certain criteria. On the issue of the supply of soya, cotton, and maize, our point is this, that the documents we have are to the effect that the payments were made after delivery. Now, of course, I can see the point, the scornful point that is being made by Waheshimiwa being that is a mistaken position. Now, from where His Excellency the Governor sits, if it were to turn out that indeed the payments were made before delivery, then that will result in a disciplinary and possible other sanctions. And so until that issue is determined, until His Excellency has been afforded an opportunity to act, to investigate, to determine that, it cannot be blamed on His Excellency the Governor that he was blind-spotted in terms of any impropriety that is there. We are not necessarily saying that impropriety may not be there. We are saying we need an opportunity to look at them, and where we see it, we start off looking at the documents and the face of the material. We also were putting the emphasis on the point that these items are consumable. So you don't put them there and they stay there for 3 months or 4 months or so. They come and they go. And so the mere fact that you found 10 tons doesn't mean that more tonnage was not delivered. There is multiple call on His Excellency why he didn't answer the question of fictitious payments of 85 million or 86 million. And the point we've been trying to make, and which we are making, and which we hope we've made, is that indeed, as far as we are concerned, there was value for money in respect to that amount. However, if it were to be found that some aspects of that 86 million value was not obtained, then that is an issue we will address given an opportunity. I know that some members raised issues of bamboo, issues of the roads, and Mr. Speaker, sir, I pray that those be excluded. We do not have notice of intention to address issues of bamboo, issues of roads that were discussed by, amongst others, Moses Rotich and Peter Kemboi, who kept complaining about some other MCA getting 12 roads, him getting 3 roads. If we had notice of that, we would have responded. But if the general point that is being made is that it is skewed, our position is that it is not true, it is not skewed. We tried as much as possible to be balanced, and some of these programs are running up to 2027, and if you really want to complain that it was skewed, it is skewed, then you should wait to the year 2027 and then raise them if it will not have covered that area. Yes, and that in terms of the circles, the supplies were made as requested. For all those reasons, we pray that you decline the motion for impeachment. You give the governor an opportunity to act. You let the parties who are responsible take responsibility. And we are very pleased at the comments made by Mr. Honorable Peter Kemboi that, Honorable Maritim, that the governor is suffering for things that have nothing to do with him. We pray that you give full meaning to that submission. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to leave it there after saying one point. I trust that I have used about 15 minutes, so I would like to spare 1 or 2 minutes for His Excellency to say something.
Order, the members, order, we want to...
Before we go there, Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to make one point. Mheshimiwa, my friend Tarimbo, I keep missing his name.
Honorable Paul Chirchir.
Paul Chirchir said that he has received messages from the 18 that they will vote in support of the impeachment. As far as we are concerned, none of them has sent any message like that. He is the apostle of the proposition that somebody must give supporting material to that. He has not shown us who, he has not shown us any material. However, if it were to be, if that point is to be made to, if that point is to be taken to its full meaning, it is our argument that is part of the scheme to manipulate the vote that is coming. That's all I wish to say.
All right, thank you, Katwa. Your point has been made. Honorable His Excellency the Governor, kindly 5 minutes, please.
Speaker, thank you so much, Mheshimiwa Speaker. Mine will be very brief. One, I think Mheshimiwa Speaker, has been good listening to debates. And one thing, while debates were ongoing here, I reckon that probably another space of time, perhaps I would have been in Parliament, because I've really enjoyed the debates here. I want to thank the members who have contributed. The insights that they have shared with us are valuable to us as government. We really want to appreciate those deep thoughts. We want to commit, Speaker, that and persuade the members that having seen all these reports that just came to my office after the impeachment has been tabled, I still want to persuade you that within the timelines that you have given in this report, that you kindly give me a chance to go and implement this report. It is possible, it's doable, and we can do it together as a team and as leaders of this county. Lastly, Speaker, I am reminded this afternoon of the great words of Raskolnikov in Crime and Punishment. Before he murdered Alyona, an old pawn driven by passion and the excitement of killing for killing's sake, and the passion of murder. After murdering Alyona, an old pawn of 85 years, Lizaveta walked around him, and because the adrenaline of murder has been awoken in Raskolnikov in the same living space, she proceeded to kill the 13-year-old girl. When asked why she killed the old woman, she said, "I've simply killed a louse and stumbled upon a louse." But it was being driven by the passion for murder and the pity of pain inflicted to somebody else that gave him a lot of excitement. Mr. Speaker, I also conclude with these great works of Macbeth in the tragedy of Macbeth Shakespeare. Macbeth having killed King Duncan because the wife of Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, has told the husband, who was a bodyguard of King Duncan, that the dream has come to me that if you kill King Duncan, you are going to be the king. And Macbeth, Mr. Speaker, Lady Macbeth, kept telling the husband that the gods have shown me that you are going to be the king. Kill your cousin King Duncan. She refused, the man refused. Then the lady came and said, "Oh gods of heaven, come and sex me that I may be a man and vanquish King Duncan." Macbeth inspired, kill King Duncan. He proceeded to kill any other witness there, being driven by the insatiable power game and the struggle to satisfy what he has begun. And when guilt came and consumed him, Mr. Speaker, he said that he saw the blood that he has shed, the many that he has killed along the way. And killed because every human being has killed at some point of time. The pleasure of murder look exciting for a minute, but after some times it comes back to you. And King and Macbeth say, "The gods are speaking to me that I have done crime." But he says, "When I want to go back, I have waded far mile through this blood to stop the murder. I beseech this house. You murdered me the first time. This is the second time. There has been a lot of agony all over, both in my own personal life and even within all those that are close to us. I want to persuade you, all of us, that we have a chance to work together as the great people of County of Kericho. We have a chance to still make amends and sit together, implement these reports, and push the dream of Kericho County to be fulfilled in your individual words. To every report that has been given to me, within the timelines that have been given, if God gives us a chance to move forward, we will be able to implement on this particular reports that have been given to me. Speaker, you've been graceful to us. I've enjoyed sitting in your house. And I want to appreciate all the time you have given us with our team. And we commit that God will see us through. And I had asked in the morning that under your feet, we only ask for justice. As we seek for justice to the issues at hand here, the governor today also asked just for justice. That as you go towards the critical point of voting, my still request before everybody is that I know there are standing orders to vote electronically, acclamation, and roll call voting. As the accused, it is under your discretion on what works best for all of us. But we pray, Honorable Speaker, that if you give us the chance for a roll call voting, we'll be able to attest that this person every day say this and this. It will allay the fears, it will allay the suspicion that this and this. And I said in the morning that if my time comes to go, I'll go head high when justice has been done and when fairness seems to have been given to me as the accused. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. God bless you, and God bless the great assembly of Kericho and the great people of Kericho County. Asante sana.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the Governor, for your submission, final submission. Katwa, before you leave with the Governor, I want you to take this home. I know this is in line with the standing order number 70A that you were talking about. That let it be on record that this motion by Honorable Kiprotich was approved by the office of the clerk.